I'm honestly scared for Dying Light. Why though? Well, it's not an easy question to answer. To explain why, we need to rewind to 2015 to when the first Dying Light came out. Techland had just split from their publisher Deep Silver, where they had developed Dead Island. The team wanted to have more creative control and seek out more unique elements, but having a publisher, they couldn't pivot in a way they deemed appropriate. And that will be important for later, don't forget it. They wanted to do something that they couldn't ever accomplish with the publisher. Publishers can be really pushy with the direction games go, and while they can be great for funding and advertising, the team behind Dying Light, Techland, said they wanted to go in a different direction for the zombie genre. So the team split off from its publisher and made the game they wanted to make, Dying Light. So if you haven't played it, you take on the role of Kyle Crane in the zombie apocalypse. You are sent to a quarantine city of, you guessed it, zombies. The game was geared more towards melee combat compared to that of guns. They wanted the terrifying element of what it would feel like to have hordes of zombies around you and not have them go down so easily. Zombies are hefty, and with enough of them, they really become a challenge. That's where Dying Light really stood out, because they wanted you to be able to have a way to traverse through these zombies without going head on. This is the one thing Techland wanted to explore, and it was a crazy concept. Let's bring
Parkour! Michael! Parkour! Parkour!
To the zombie apocalypse. And that's where they brought on the literal co-founder of Parkour, David Bell, a French freerunner. Techland hired him during the development of Dying Light to help design and verify the parkour system. He reviewed the animations, consulted on realism, and worked with the team to make sure Crane's movements felt authentic. In interviews, Techland's creative director said Bell's input helped push their natural movement system from arcadey to something that felt fluid and physical, but still playable. This first-person parkour in the zombie apocalypse really set Dying Light apart from other zombie games where guns, or anything, can be a weapon. It gives more of a real sense of what life might be like if a raccoon city became a reality. You will need
Rule number 1, cardio. Zombies lead a very active lifestyle, so should you.
Cardio. And parkour, let's be real, would be a fun way to get around if you had to maneuver through a city of zombies. As you progress, you get signature moves to help you fight back against the hordes, like the signature dropkick. And then there is the day and night cycle. You generally had the choice if you wanted to play during the safer daytime, or if you were more ballsy, you could venture out at night where the rewards were greater. But so were the risks. Zombies were more agile, quicker, and more dangerous. A feeling of actual dread could come upon the player at night if they were caught by a volatile. So when Dying Light 2 came out, the director, per his words, tried to make the game more accessible, and in doing so, made a mistake.
You could say that it wasn't the most polished, the most kind of AAA high-budget game. We made an attempt on making this kind of like this, the highest budget AAA game with Dying Light to stay human. And actually, maybe we made some missteps. Maybe we just wanted the game to be a little bit too accessible, a little bit too I think we sacrificed part of the Dying Light DNA for the accessibility of Dying Light to stay human experience.
They had implemented RPG elements and fetch quests all around the city. They boasted up to 500 hours of gameplay, but that was way overshot per people who actually played the game. Well, in selling Dying Light 2, they sold the DLC in the Ultimate Pack, which included all the future DLC. This is paramount because some of you may not know, just like Silksong for Hollow Knight was originally a DLC that morphed into its own full-on game, so did Dying Light the Beast. The Beast was a DLC that Techland had been working on, but a hacker released all the spoilers out into the world. And remember where I said having a publisher can make it hard for studios to pivot and how that was important? Well, Techland did something only a studio without a publisher would likely ever pull off. Most studios at this time would be forced to trudge on, but Techland saw this as an opportunity that big studios with publishers would not be able to do, and I commend them for doing this. They pivoted. They decided to turn Dying Light the Beast from a DLC into its own game. They got excited about bringing back the main character from the first game and going back to the story's roots and tie up some loose ends. And this is one point where I am scared for Dying Light. They may have just made the mistake Mafia did. Let me explain. I realized after doing my video on Mafia the Old Country that the team wanted to return to the original format, tell a story, get away from what Mafia 3 became, a knockoff clone of GTA. The team really focused on the storytelling aspect, and you know what happened? Part of their audience was upset because it wasn't the formula that Mafia 3 did. People criticized it because it wasn't open world enough or that you couldn't swim in the water. It wasn't that the devs were lazy, it's that their focus was on what the original Mafia and Mafia 2 were, about the story. so they didn't spend resources on things that didn't really matter narratively, like swimming. In an effort to return to their roots, they had what I called split the fan base. The fan base of Mafia now had two different expectations in their mind. One expected a narrative-driven game, one expected an open-world concept like GTA, but Mafia-themed. And now, no customer base was truly happy. So, not all of Techland's fan base played the first Dying Light. Some only know the second one. They may split the fan base by pivoting their focus into a more narrow landscape and focus on the narrative. Remember, the director said they did try to make Dying Light 2 appealing to a wider audience, so some players will still desire that kind of gameplay. In games, you can't always have your cake and eat it too. Something needs to give. And in an effort to focus more on the narrative, Castor Woods, where Dying Light the Beast is located, is a smaller map than Dying Light 2. The player base from Dying Light 2 may not be so happy with the smaller map to traverse around, and they may end up calling it small. In addition, the map is more dense and is now not a sprawling city. I mean, it is called Castor Woods. Not everyone might enjoy the change in pace, just like with what Mafia did in returning to a more narrative-driven approach. The team has to have a focus on what they are trying to make sure they do right. The director explains this in an interview here.
Compared to Dying Light 2 Stay Human, where a huge part of where we were aiming at the scale of the map, so we couldn't really focus on each and every detail, the Beast is different. With the Beast, we told our team to focus on every square inch of the map and every location, every interior. It's really a passionate work and kind of handwork of our artists. We realized as developers that open worlds are not about scale, are about you feeling of being there. So you can actually create a open world which is maybe not as expansive, but if it's handcrafted, as I said, if it feels real, the player's satisfaction of being in that world is much bigger. You cannot be perfect in every area of the game, but there are areas of the game where you have to be perfect, because those are the areas of the game that make your game.
I am not saying it's not going to be successful. Honestly, Techland did something that only a studio without a publisher can do. They are able to take risks by saying, hey, let's do a smaller, more polished map instead of a vast, large open city. Hey, let's pivot to a main game instead of just doing this as a DLC. And lastly, I haven't even mentioned this, just how Team Cherry honored everyone who bought the DLC for Hollow Knight and gave them Silksong free of charge, Techland is doing the same thing. Anyone who bought the Ultimate Edition of Dying Light 2 Stay Human, which would have included all the DLC, will be receiving Dying Light the Beast for free, as it was supposed to be the next DLC. And the fact that they're self-publishing allows them to do this kind of thing, which is awesome. I commend the lads. They have been able to do something studios without publishers can accomplish. But again, I am a little scared they may have split the fan base with the pivot to the smaller map and a more narrative-driven approach. But only time will tell. Are you playing Dying Light the Beast? If so, tell me what you think of it. I hope you all are having a great week. I'll see you next week, and don't forget to... Go,